What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So if you guys been watching the last couple videos, we've been working on a 224 swapped mini quad, getting that thing ready to go and actually taking it for its first test drive, beating the crap out of it a little bit, and finally getting that thing dialed in. And she is finally out of the garage here. As you can tell, she is finally gone, clearing up some space in here, and she is actually on its way halfway across the country. So finally not my problem anymore. So hence kind of clearing up some more space in here, I kind of ended up actually selling the Realtree RT100 mini bike that we ended up actually swapping in a 212cc motor into. In the last video I've been working on this thing, I ended up having a neighbor kind of walk on by and asked if I was willing to sell any of the toys for one of their kids for Christmas, and I kind of just threw a number out on this thing and they said yes. So I'm ended up actually working on this thing a little bit. We're gonna end up restoring this thing basically from the ground up in today's video. I want to strip this thing basically all the way down to a bare frame. I want to paint up the frame on this thing. I told him I would slow it down for him since the kid is pretty young, and with the 40-tooth rear sprocket on this thing, I did a little pull off camera when this thing had no brakes at all, and I think I got almost like 60 miles an hour. So this thing is a little too quick for like a 10 to 12-year-old, so I want to slow it down a little bit. So I'm gonna end up putting the stock sprocket back on this thing, and I'm also going to be ending up pulling out this 212 and putting a 196 just to kind of lower the horsepower a little bit. It'll still be enough to kind of rip around, do 30 to 40, no problem on this thing, but still have the intake and exhaust. So it's still got a little upgrades. And ever since we actually worked on this thing in the last video, we actually did the 212 swap, I ended up needing to do some brakes and a few little things to it. So as you can tell, I do have a set of hydraulic brakes mounted up on this thing, so I did have to do a few modifications. I ended up knocking this all out off camera just because it was a little bit easier just for me to kind of sit down and look at how this is all working and get it mounted up. And I got it mounted up, but it's still a little sketch. We do need to do a little trimming on some of the bolts and stuff down in there because it is very close to the rotor, and I don't need it locking up the rear wheel on this thing. We are going to be doing a new tire as well, so basically refreshing this whole thing from the ground up. We did get a new seat for this thing as well, so it's still in the plastic wrap. I kind of wrap that whenever this thing's freshly ready to roll, and just really get this thing all good to go so it can kind of be a nice little ripper in the neighborhood and kind of another toy that is annoying the neighbors, and it's not me finally. So I'm gonna get to work actually starting to strip this thing down tonight. My goal would be to get this thing stripped down as far as possible, probably swap the rear sprocket, but I'm probably gonna actually pull it off because I want to get the rear wheels painted, but I also want to change that rear wheel as well. So kind of just get this thing stripped down, do a couple little odds and ends, and then we can get everything all painted up tomorrow. And I think this week I'm gonna end up doing kind of a couple videos here and there, kind of just posting every couple days just to kind of get some more content out there a little bit for you guys. And especially I got a few days off, why not just spend some time getting all the other toys all finished up, since they all have little odds and ends that actually need to get fixed up on them. So that's kind of the goal for today's week and the next couple weeks coming up. So I do expect a lot more content coming out. So I guess enough talking, let's get to work on this thing. I'm gonna set up a time lapse and we can get this thing all stripped down and then kind of talk about it and see what we can kind of get knocked out tonight. What's up, guys? So it's actually the next day. Last night you guys saw we got the mini bike all tore down into a million pieces all in the garage here. Basically left the motor all intact as much as possible. Even stripped down the wheel, getting the sprocket and the brake disc off of there. So that's all pretty much ready to go. We just got to sand that down and get ready for paint. And then at that point, kind of just turned the camera off, sat here looking at a few things that I kind of wanted to knock out real quick, like the rear tire. So we ended up getting that all knocked out real quick. Ended up just putting a new used one on there that I had lying around that actually matches the front wheel now. So it'll have matching tires from the front and back, make it look a lot better. So we're going to get those painted up in a little bit here. And the whole goal is to actually get the frame painted up. So I told the dad that's actually buying this thing, I'm just going to end up painting this thing black. Just going to make it easy, and that's kind of what he said too. So I'm going to end up painting the whole frame black, but I wanted to give a little bit of spice to it. So I'm going to end up painting the rim silver, and I think I'm going to paint the new sprocket, maybe the middle of the brake disc too, just kind of give that a fresh coat. And then leave most of the engine stuff black, like the side cover, gas tank, and all that. And I'm thinking I'm going to rewrap the exhaust up in some heat wrap, just to kind of make that look a little bit nicer as well. So I ended up just sitting here contemplating everything that needs to get painted up. I even pulled out the fenders and stuff so we can get those painted up, because I want to get those mounted on there, just kind of get this thing 100% complete. I know the rear fender we're going to have to trim up for the exhaust to actually go over it and kind of go through it. So I'm going to probably hold off on painting that one right now. But I want to start on actually getting this thing prepped up so we can get it painted up while we have a little bit of daylight left. And especially today's Thursday and this video goes out tomorrow, so I got to get it edited up tonight. So I want to get as much knocked out today as possible. So I want to get everything painted up and possibly start cleaning up the new 196 engine for this thing, because she's a little dirty and we need to start prepping that, getting the gas tank intake and exhaust swapped over, clutch, and a few things. So today ran to the store, got some black paint and some silver paint. We got some scuff pads and all that, so we can get the paint frame all scuffed up real quick, get the rims and tires scuffed up, basically all the small stuff, get this thing painted up. And in the meantime, we'll end up starting to clean up the new 196 that I have sitting over here. This thing I kind of got on another mini bike a while back. This thing does run. I did end up buying a brand new carb for this thing just to kind of make it a little bit easier tuning it, and shouldn't have any really issues with it. And this thing is definitely a little crusty, so why not just throw a fresh one on there for $10 or $15? No big deal. So we're gonna end up actually getting this thing all degreased and brake cleaned down so we can actually have a fresh motor to go in this thing, and then get all the parts all swapped over and so on. So enough talking, let's get to work. I think I'm going to start by prepping the frame so we can get some paint laid on that thing real quick, and then I can start working on all the little bits while we still have some daylight left. Just saw all the before and afters of getting everything all painted up, and everything is all good to go. We're just kind of waiting for it to all dry right now, and which will probably end up being tomorrow once we actually start installing all the parts again. But the frame actually came out amazing. I'm stoked how this thing came out. Probably one of my nicer paint jobs I've done on any of the toys that I have here in the garage or in the past. So I'm pretty happy with how this thing comes out, and I'm hoping it actually holds up, at least to this kid's abuse, at least whatever he does to this thing. But got all the parts in the garage here. So we got the fenders and stuff over there on this old hood. I ended up actually spray painting these a flat black just to kind of give it that little bit of a two-tone look compared to the gloss black. I don't really want to have too much gloss black on this thing, so it's not like super bright inside your face. But we ended up painting the wheels that nice bright silver like you guys saw, which is kind of bright, but it's also dark at the same time. So I really like how that silver came out. So I ended up doing it on the sprocket, which I got hanging up over here. And then I got a little brake bracket that I ended up painting up as well. But got a few things to still do up on the motors here to actually get it all ready to go to install in the frame here. So I ended up just sitting here looking at it. And by the time I ended up finishing up actually painting up everything, I kind of just decided I'd rather wait and have a little bit more time and daylight to actually clean this motor up, because this thing is a little crusty. So I want to get it all wire brushed down, degreased, and cleaned off real nice. And then we can actually start installing all the bits, like the intake and exhaust from this motor. And then I ended up having to do a different gas tank since this motor is a Hemi. I have another gas tank lying around that's actually super clean inside, so I'm gonna end up swapping that one on here. And then I even found a super nice side cover with a really nice gloss black paint job. So I'm gonna end up actually replacing it with this one over here, so we can just make it easy swap. We don't really have to paint anything on this. I do have the new carb for this thing as well, so we'll get that swapped on. But all this is probably gonna end up being tomorrow, since it is pretty late right now, and this video actually goes live tomorrow. So I gotta start sitting down and editing this all up. So in the meantime, we'll just kind of let this stuff all dry in the garage here, which is kind of good because I can't really stand the fumes in here right now. So I don't feel like working anymore tonight. So I'm gonna end up calling today's video. It's probably one of my shortest videos, or shorter videos on the channel, but do expect, and at least probably Sunday I plan on posting, maybe Sunday or Monday. We'll actually have this thing all complete and actually ripping again and seeing it all restored and good to go. So this is gonna be like part one of tearing this thing down and getting everything all painted up. So hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video of getting this thing all done up, and stay tuned for next video here in a couple days where we actually get this thing all done and put together and see how this thing actually rips and looks in the end. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, hope you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more content, and peace out.